I am ready. I think I'm ready. And um, I have to check out how this opens up on. Good morning. Let me try that again. Take two. Cancel. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Good morning. It's a snowy Monday morning here in Cleveland, and or do they want to say hazy? Actually, it's not a lot of snow. It's a dusting of snow, and so it's that, and I am, but this is like, we're about to head into a whole new month, and y'all know I stay excited. So I'm greeting you on this fine Monday morning, and excited to be here, and excited to just see what Spirit brings up for me today. This morning, I do this thing as part of my morning, where I am singing and dancing around, getting ready to come on here. And this morning, the song "I Hope You Dance" by Leanne, is it Womack? But that was on my mind, and I started in with this whimsical feeling of saying, "I hope you dance." I haven't worn these in a few days. It's all good. It's all good. No shade, no comment on that. But hey, Walker, grand rising to you as well. So honored to see you here. I know you're not in Ohio, so me talking about this weather is probably a foreign concept to you. I don't think you're in Ohio. But anyway, I got on this thing this morning where I did my Joe Dispenza meditation, which is an hour. It's, I I'm the woman who went to a silent meditation retreat and was meditating like 12 hours a day. And so when I came back here, it just seemed like to sit down for an hour or two was nothing to me. But now, okay, so went to Adams. Okay. So now, when I am doing these meditations, after not having done hour long meditations in quite a while, I usually do like 15-20 minute meditations in the morning. But so when I went to that workshop on Thursday night and committed to doing an hour long meditation every day, I was thinking to myself, okay, no problem, no problem. But once you get out of practice on that, it's like, OMG. So I sat in meditation today and working on the power of my intentions. I started like going through this, picture in my mind of what I desired and all this stuff. And there was so many things that came up for me. And I know, for if I'm being honest, here in Ohio, in my life, there has been a lot of this idea of whatever. I mean, this may not be true for everyone, but there have been a lot of images of death and dying and caring for being caretakers and all this other stuff. And I thought to myself, that, and I don't know about anybody else, but that is not the trajectory of my life or my experience. And so it was like cancel, cancel, cancel that. That's something that I've dealt with in the past, but no longer do I want that to be a part of my future. And so, when I got up from the meditation, talking about getting up differently from how you sat down, I got up from the meditation and I could think about, that song, I Hope You Dance. I hope you still feel small when you stand beside the ocean. I hope when one door closes, I hope one more opens. Promise me you'll give faith a fighting chance, and when you get the choice to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance. And it is one of those things that I dance anyway. I am a dancer. It don't take music, it don't take an audience, it don't take anything for me to bust a move. I mean, I don't need an excuse to dance. I experience timelessness when I dance. And I ain't no ballerina or modern dance. It's like, nothing but the dog in me. It just, I dance. And so, I thought to myself, like, how awesome is that to always be that, forward focused, and to have that idea of dance, that life is movement and dance. And so, I thought, why not? Why not? Why not? And then there's so much. I mean, I don't know about you, but so much in the course of the morning comes up for me, and I get so freaking excited about the opportunity to just see what is, what spirit has for me, how it moves through me on a given day. So I hope your weekend was good. I hope that you had some, because a lot of times we spend so much time just, what is it that sometimes we have this idea that life is this grind, and we're always grinding. Like, what's the point of it? Is the point of it to enjoy it while you're here? And don't get me wrong, because I am a rather serious person. I'm not the, although I can say that what I enjoy, but I'm not I think you get that about me. I'm not that person that's always out there. Your weekend was lit. Good. I wonder what that included, because I like the word lit. So, I'm not that person that's always out there, like, thinking that it's about that stuff. I mean, sometimes for me, the weekend could be, that I just, like I got some magical experience that I've had. It just depends on that. I had every intent this weekend to go to Tammy's party. As a matter of fact, I woke up Saturday thinking I was going to Tammy's party. I spent all day Saturday thinking I was going to Tammy's party. But when 6:30 hit, I was like, I went in there and I was like, oh, I should have taken a nap. I should have. And then it was like the closer, I was just like, oh my God, am I going to Tammy's party? Y'all, I didn't go to Tammy's party. But I know her party was lit. And I know that she probably had a lot of people there that I probably would have really loved to see. But I didn't make it to her party. But I wished her an amazing happy birthday. And yeah, so such is life. So I want to share with you the daily the daily guide before I get too far down my little yellow brick road. I will share this with you because we are coming to the end of this Reverend Marilyn Louise Leo's time. And so I get to share her writing with you for today, and then go on from there. It is all good, whatever that may mean. I'm so thrilled to be able to share it with you at any rate. Yes, I'm thumbing through here because okay, here, let me glorious Monday to you, Everett. How are you? I am I am so excited to be here and to be, to be able to talk and share and all of that stuff. So, here we go. Here we go. Let me read this daily guide, and I get to read it, and then we shall go on. So for today, today her title, she entitled this, "Be the Change You Want to See." Be the change you want to see. And then from Mahatma Gandhi, her quote that she uses here is, "Man is but a product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. What you think, you become. Man is but a product of their thoughts." From Ernest Holmes, she used a quote, "The meek shall inherit the earth. This is the teaching of non-resistance." It's the teaching of non-resistance. Well, I have never been meek, and that's not in my personality. So it's interesting because wherever we are, sometimes we find resonance with certain things, and so I don't aspire to be that, whatever that may mean for her, but that's the quote that she uses. So here we go. She says, "On this day, we salute Mahatma Gandhi." Means great soul, and Mahatma means great soul, and is a blessing and title given him by many. He was a man of great courage and inspiration. As he is remembered, especially on this day, commemorating his death and also the season of nonviolence which begins today. Gandhi was a man of great courage. He desired freedom and equity for the people of India. And to this end, he stood up to those who would attempt to hold him and others back. He did not believe violence was the way to achieve freedom. He believed and lived with the idea that humanity could move forward. He wanted to help his fellow citizens, to uplift them and their living circumstances. He wanted them to know they could live differently. Gandhi stood up to those who believed he and others like him were lesser than or beneath him. With an inner knowing that freedom and equity were needed, and were right for all, he found a way to change humankind in India and in the world. It is still an ongoing declaration of truth for us all. Gandhi was a magnificent leader who led thousands of people to freedom. Non-resistance is not by any means the path of least resistance. It says no without anguish, but with a determination that change in thought and action must take place. That declaration to bring peace through non-resistance and in nonviolent ways continues to this day and has spread throughout most of the world. While we appreciate that Gandhi is a controversial figure, we believe his teaching of nonviolence still resonates today. The affirmation that goes with this is, I believe in freedom for all and move through thought, prayer, and where needed to establish a world consciousness of love. Okay. So I will tell you, I have not always agreed with that Marilyn Louise Leo this month. There have been times at which I have actively resisted some of the writings that she has made. And while I don't stand in opposition to this, it is always interesting to me that that when it comes down to these ideas of nonviolence and non-resistance, we are talking about people who are resisting the oppression that has been made on what we call the third world, or let me say it more appropriate, 2/3 of the world, which consist of cultures of color, versus the 1/3 of the world, which is considered civilized and considered the first world. And they consider all the rest barbarians, barbaric, subhuman, or whatever, and have sought to oppress. And so this colonization of the world on the world scale was perpetrated by the Caucasians. Caucasia is not a place, but it was perpetrated by a few onto the many. And now we talk about and have these times, these things that talk about and hold up this idea of nonviolence and non-resistance. Whew! I tell you, sometimes it, if I'm being honest, sometimes it works my nerve that people cannot just say, not try to exploit the rest of the world. And if that was not the case, if people were not trying to enslave or exploit or fight over resources that don't belong to them, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't need to have these kinds of celebrations or holding it up as if it is a desired thing. Why can't we all get along? Why can't people just, let it be and take, without trying to dominate or just that is just, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I tell you, I cannot help but to really still speak my truth where I think that truth needs to be spoken to. And it is always amazing to me how we want to, let's not do this, let's not do that. But it's okay. It's okay when other people decide that they want to rock the boat, but just not when it calls a spade, so to speak. So good morning to all of you. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to have a conversation with you about even just what it means to dance for you. what it means in your life, what that would look like for you. So when I think about it in my life, sure enough, there is the real life dancing that I do, right? Whether it is to some music or house music. Yeah, I talk about my love to dance anyway. But just because I have this affinity and affection for how we move, right, doesn't mean that I lose sight of all the other ways in which we can express, whether it is expressing in a physical kind of way through dance, or whether it is a verbal kind of way through talk, through sharing, through insight, through knowledge, through sound, through song. And here's the thing, that there is this knowing within me that once we there is a alchemical process that is always at work in this universe. A lot of times we don't recognize that this is a magical universe that we are living in. And we don't recognize that because the magic doesn't always tend to or seem to happen on our behalf. But one of the things that I have experienced and that I'm experiencing is that, this idea that things come to me or they come through me. And as they land, I give, like, I feel as if I'm giving birth to something. And the moment that it comes or it crosses this threshold that is me, it is this, is put out into the ethers as if, I expended comes to me, the word expended, as if it is fairy dust that is being sprinkled out and about and around us over everything. Yesterday, I watched, like many of you, the championship games, and watched Kansas City beat Cincinnati. And I also watched Philadelphia win. But at the end of the Kansas City game, it was this, they puffed out all of this confetti into the air. Of course, for me, I'm like sitting up there thinking, like, where does that go? What happens to it? But they puffed all of this stuff out into the air. And the moment it's puffed into the air, it is no retraction. Just like for the words that I speak or that you speak, once you put them out there, it is an expense, an expenditure that is made. It goes out and it cannot be taken back. And so the magic or lack thereof that is created by them is then dissipated energy. Now, I need to think on that or dwell on that for a little while, because I'm always thinking about, the power and impact of what it is that we do, what it is that we give birth to, bring into the world, and for what purposes, right? And so it becomes this thing of, once if we put it out there, what's the expectation behind it? For me, the expectation behind it is that somebody, whether it's me or somebody else, grabs that and knows that that is something. If it lands on you in a particular way, it's something that you can do with that. It's something that that hopefully inspires or motivates or does something that then has some creative possibility to it. If I am thinking in magical terms, or if I'm thinking about this idea, y'all, there has been so much said and so much done throughout history that I can't help but think to myself that to some extent we may not recognize or understand that you know, that the things that we see, or the things that are happening, came from out of the mind or the experience of somebody. And to the extent of, say, for instance, people used to use wands, and we talk about magic. In the Bible, they said that the word was made flesh. In the beginning was darkness, and the word was void, without form. When we hear these things, there is an indication that a transformation was made through the power of words or sounds or something that has been expended into this universe. So I talked about, and I love to say to you, that when we heard, or the as the story goes, that there was a let there be, we were among the chorus of the let there be, of giving shape and form. And I can't help but think most of the time that this idea of in the beginning darkness was, in the beginning I was ignorant. I did not understand. Yesterday I talked about the lyrics from Amazing Grace. I was blind, but now I see. At some point, I have also heard people talk about this idea of, originally, when people saw ships on the horizon, they didn't know what it was because they didn't have a word for it or an understanding of it. So you see something out on the horizon, and you're seeing a disruption in what is normally a smooth line. You're seeing, but if you don't have an idea of what that is, just like a person might not understand, who might see a plane in the sky for the first time, might not understand. So they are blind to it because there is no reference point to it. And so then all of a sudden, the awareness comes, sight comes, understanding comes when you get a different type of engagement with it. So, so at a particular time, all of us are in our unaware. All of us are ignorant to something. And then the more, if we get experience with it, or if we experience is different too, still, from, somebody telling us something. I remember when I was getting ready to, when I was in college, I was getting ready to go overseas to go to school. And I remember at the time, y'all, this was, and it seems like it wasn't that long ago, but at the time, I pulled out the encyclopedia off of the shelf because I needed to look up the place where I was going. So I flipped through the encyclopedia to Italy, and I wanted to try to understand Italy from an encyclopedia reference. And so what did it show? It showed some pictures of some books, or some bricks. Hey, good morning, Sandra. Great to see you. It's been a week or so, huh? So I turned to the page and I read, and it gives you like climate stuff, and it tells you, little junk about the place. And so I was trying to gather all the information that I could about a place that I was about to go to and had no understanding of. This was before internet was, a thing. I don't even know if internet was a thing, but then, if it was even a thought, because I didn't have email, none of the normal stuff that we now have. So, so it was just an idea out there. And as I gathered information, but it still didn't give me an understanding of where I was going. And so I got on the plane. I took a trip there, had an idea about the atmosphere, had an idea about the people, had an idea about the location, but no experience. And so when we get experience, like actual hands-on experience. It's like the sort of the exploration that a baby has of its environment. Not only does it see it and touch stuff, but it also puts it in its mouth. What does this taste like? You know, there is a different kind of experience that we have when we're actually in a place. And so all of the reading of books, right? If you're talking about sex and sexuality, all of the reading of books in the world won't replace the experience that you get when you actually do a thing. And so there is this point at which we go from I was blind, I didn't know, I didn't understand, to that having that aha moment for ourselves. Aha, now I get it. Now I understand. Now I see. When somebody is telling you that, you know, when you're watching, when I was, I'm going to tell you this other thing. When I was in college, there was, I used to go in what we call the student center. No reading won't, yeah, it won't. Good morning, Tracy. So when I was in college, I used to go in the student center all the time. And in the student center, it was all kinds of students that would just hang out, sit around wherever and study together, eat together, blah, 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 at separate tables, of course, and in separate little enclaves, of course, but just all around. And so one particular day, I'm in the student center and I just happened to be sitting proximate to some students, white students, who were talking about a class. And they were trying to understand, a poem or something that was a class that I had already taken. One that I had some insight on. And when they were talking about it, I decided to interject and take for them this thing that they were struggling with and then start to talk to them about it. Well, I didn't know if they received that information or how they received it. All I know is I had some information. I shared with them the information and let it be. Well, a few days later, there's this girl that came back to me and wanted to thank me because she used the stuff that I said and actually got a great grade on the paper that was dissecting this particular poem, because she didn't have a clue about it. And so as she stood there talking to me and all happy at feeling as if she had received a gift from me, she said to me in the midst of the conversation, she says that I told my parents about you. And I said, oh, really? And she says, yeah. She says that she and she was trying to be as nice and tactful as she could. She says that I had finally met a black person. And I told him you weren't like the rest of them. And I kind of like, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. And she was like, well, she says, you're actually the first one that I've met, but I just wanted them to know that, that you weren't like what we see. And I said, what do you see? Right? And what I came to understand is that where she was from, they didn't have black people. They only saw us on the television. And so now all of a sudden, instead of her perceiving us over there, now all of a sudden, here is one that is actually having a conversation in her face. I'm having a conversation in exchange. So the experience of it became something very different. And so while I may have, lightweight taken some offense to it, I was also glad that she allowed herself to have the experience so that she could make the transformation. I was blind, but now I see. And so a lot of times what we do is we don't allow ourselves to have experiences that might challenge what it is that we have believed before. It can be something as simple as my friend who always tells me, "Oh, I hate pumpkin. I don't like pumpkin," and won't do anything, eat anything that even indicates that it might have something remotely to do with pumpkin. And one time I finally said to him, I was like, pumpkin spice does not mean that they squeeze a pumpkin and put it into some cream or into a shaker. I said pumpkin spice is how they spice a pumpkin pie. That means that they put cinnamon and nutmeg and all of these different seasonings into the thing, not that they put a pumpkin in there. And it wasn't until I explained to him that there was no pumpkin in the bottle that he actually allowed himself to taste what pumpkin spice tastes like. To me, to block off experience based on a notion that we might have without actually trying it is kind of funny. So this idea of going from blind or dark or from a moment when we're unaware to the actual experience of can be for some, especially if you're meek or especially if you're scary, for some it can be a frightening thing. But what I'm hoping is that when you get a chance to find something out, that you will actually lean into the experience and try something that it doesn't mean like, so say for instance, you, I don't know. Some things people will just say, "Oh yeah, that's bad. I'm not doing it." Right? I get that, but how many things are you like that on in your life? How many things do you just reject out of because you already believe or think that you know? How many times do you, there have been some things that I have thought, yeah, I don't know, right? Or if it's like, yeah, because it's rare for me to think of things that I don't want to do. I used to tell people, yeah, I'll try anything once, right? Whether I circle back or go back is a whole different thing. But I'm usually game to try things once. And then if I decide in that one time I don't like it, then I don't have to do that anymore. But just to say, that's right, without any experience is sometimes it just is confining. It blocks us. It doesn't help us to see or to expand into the possibilities. So yeah, maybe there are things that you think, oh, I don't know why this came up for me, and I don't know who all watches this and who you are, but remember, I am Sir Nose, devoid of funk. I can't swim. I never could swim. I never would swim. Oh. I hate water. Put me down, right? We go through this whole thing of him being just totally resistant. Oh, it feels good. Oh, it feels good. I am the nose, right? So there is a point at which there is this stark resistance. And this stark resistance is saying no. But then all of a sudden, somebody is overwhelming him and his resistance. And then, oh, it feels good. Oh, it feels good, right? How is it if we're standing in resistance to everything? How do we get to the point of finding out what our truth is? Sometimes it's the things that we resist the most that are so like amazingly transformative for us. Ask yourself what you're resisting. What are you resisting, right? I know that for a long time we have been raised with a certain type of mentality. We're raised to believe that, old is a certain age, or we're raised to believe that when you get a certain age, you're supposed to act a certain way, think a certain way, or this is the trajectory, the end point, or whatever. Who told you that you're supposed to spend your evenings watching television? Or who told you that the only thing that you have to look forward to is sickness or illness or death? Who told you that, right? Who says that after a certain age you can't be sexual or sexy? Who told you that? And so when we start looking at the messages that we've received over and over again, whether or not they are overt or covert, whether or not they are just our assumptions that we've made, who told you that? And then how do we then override that? That becomes the thing. Let's hit the override button. Let's hit the reset button and start thinking something different or something new. I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I hope that if somebody told you at one time you couldn't sing, that you didn't let that stop you from doing it again or trying even. I hope that at some point, if somebody was, told you about the trajectory, what was good for you, what you should do, that at some point you find out for yourself, that you begin to ask questions of yourself. Is this really what I want? Is this where I want to live? Is this the existence? Is this the totality of me? I hope that you don't get caught in that kind of stuff. I hope you don't get caught in thinking that remember, I love to talk about our narrow notions about what's beautiful or what's possible. We've got very narrow notions about that. And I hope at some point you decide something different, that, you know what, all of this and more is possible, because we live in an expansive universe. And so if we just let go of this notion that it's gotta be the same way that it's always been, if we just let that go, I think we could really, we got this narrow perception even about, who was it? Somebody told me, as a matter of fact, in Malcolm X's autobiography, I think he talks about height ranges that work together. Like when you're talking about relationships or whatever, I think he was talking about, men and women's height and how they align. Why not date somebody that's shorter than you or taller than you or something? Why do we have to adhere to these narrow restrictions about what people have to be like or look like or smell like or whatever? I mean, we've got these notions that block our even trying. What are you attracted to? So even with the age thing, I'm sometimes I'm amazed at, how we make it seem like, oh, we gotta, our age has gotta be this or it's gotta be that, as if that is the determining factor of love. I mean, if you want to date somebody that's younger or somebody that's older, so be it. I tell you, and I think that women are worse than men when it comes down to these kinds of things. Like somebody gave them the notion about what was right and what was acceptable, and it's just like, come on, let's drop all of that stuff and just do what it is that we desire to do. So if you desire to date an a younger man or older woman or a or you know, whatever it is, to get out of your mind these notions about what should be and try something different. I mean, all of us could be about this business of just, you know, getting out of our own resistance to something and being open to more possibilities. You guys, I think it is amazing when we unshackle our minds from the things that we have been taught in the past. Unshackle from the way things are supposed to look and step into the possibilities of what can be. I just think that it would be so freeing and so wonderful. So I hope you dance. I hope that you still like have this desire to unlock possibilities for yourself and for your life, cuz you know, it just life is too short to be, you know, sitting up and tripping over stuff that really doesn't matter. Cuz there are so many things that really don't matter. And when you get a notion about how you have been paying attention to or giving lip service to things that don't matter, it just is just an amazing thing to see. I don't know. I'm really of the mindset that I need to do different. All right, Bill, have an amazing morning. And yes, to see you at lunchtime. It was good to see you on Thursday. I hope you're keeping up with your meditations. So for any of us, this can apply, right? For any points in our lives where you might have thought, oh, I couldn't do this before. We're bad about it in dating. We're bad about it in places that we live. We're bad about it when it comes to this idea of work ethic and what we need to do, have to do, where we're going, all of this stuff. You know, to break the mold on some of these things would be amazing. To just step outside of what we've always done and do something different is it would be amazingly freeing. So you get to make these choices for yourself. I had a wonderful conversation the other day. One of the things that was really interesting to me is this friend of mine's and we almost never talk on the phone. We see each other in person or we text, but we don't necessarily have conversations over the phone. And I thought to myself, you know what? Why not? Right? We have great conversations in person. Why not just pick up the phone? Why not go to lunch? Why not do such and such, right? Why the heck not? And so when I made a decision, oh, okay, I'm going to make the call. You know, it was a different kind of feel. It was a very different experience, but one that was such an amazing blessing to me. You guys, we got to step outside of what we've always done. Do something different than what we've always done in order to experience something different. I don't know about you, but I hope you dance. I do. All right. I think that is where I'm going to go today. I think that is what I got. And, I'm looking at my time here and I'm short of an hour. But who says that I have to do an hour? So I think I'm going to leave it there for you guys today. And I appreciate you being here with me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk and all that other good stuff. And I want to get to doing some of my writing, because that is one of the things that in my intention, in my meditation, that I see myself as putting forth more time for my writing. I thank you, Walker, for being here. I appreciate your presence, the energy that you bring. I appreciate you. So, yeah, so I'm gonna let it go there, and then I will be here tomorrow, same 8 o'clock hour, and have more conversation for you then. I also have to do. I get to do some editing and some running around today, so I'm sending you deep blessings, knowing that, yeah, all of this, just take the chance. And one of the things that I know is that when you hear stuff like this, and the next time something is facing you, or you've got an opportunity to make a choice, that you will actually choose to dance, whatever that may mean in the instant. All right, so blessings to you, and have an amazing, amazing day. And I'll see you guys, God willing,